It's before after the fact, and maybe I should figure out a way to bring in this show. We're gonna talk briefly, like we were doing the Kendrick Lamar episode of Deprogrammed, which you can subscribe to on all podcast platforms. But Rudy, when we were talking about Kendrick, you brought up your sister had put you on to Kendrick using the Good Kid record. So I was just wondering, like, was she an influence on you like that? Did your sister like put you on to anything else, or is Kendrick like the lone time she did that?
Oh, she always puts me on to new music. Actually, she was really instrumental to getting me into kind of newer wave West Coast artists. Like this is right around like 2009, 2010. There were a lot of really underground rappers that they were just doing their thing over on the West Coast, and eventually they became pretty popular. One of them was this rapper by the name of Dom Kennedy. Who's actually, I think he's on that "She Needs Me" song on "Overly Dedicated" on Kendrick's album.
That was on my
list. And he's just the guy who's just been doing his thing over the years, and he blew up like around 2012, 2013, but he's really low key, so like he didn't really get the recognition that I think he deserves, because he just quietly releases an album, goes on a little tour, and then just hangs back. But his music is tremendous. But yeah, she introduced me to him and a few of the kind of newer breed of rappers from there. I think J-Rock is one of them. Schoolboy Q, they're running the same crew as Kendrick, and Nipsey Hussle, who I actually just passed like last year, but he was another West Coast rapper that was just phenomenal. So yeah.
So do you have anybody that influential in your musical choices, John?
No, for sure. I mean, in a kind of different way, but sort of similar way. Like, when I was growing up, I was mostly influenced musically by my cousins because I don't have siblings. And I lived in a sort of isolated place, so the cable TV wasn't a thing, radio wasn't really a thing, so I was just kind of listening to whatever records they were listening to. So when I was like a little kid, I was listening to things like AC/DC and Kiss and stuff like that. And then I guess I got in middle school or so. So this would probably be like 1987 or so, late elementary school, whatever. And my cousin came over, and he said, and he had a cassette tape, and he's like, "Hey, he's like, listen to this." And it was a Black Flag record on cassette.
Nice.
And it was the first time I'd ever heard like punk rock. And that was like my music. Like once I heard that, like that encompassed like everything that I felt about everything. Just being like frustrated, like a frustrated kid. Like that just encompassed everything. And that like I kind of fell in love with like the anger of punk rock, but like how like positive it can be too, like how inspiring it can be. And hip hop is kind of that way too. Like, once I got into hip hop, actually later on than that, hip hop can be full of anger, but it can also be super inspirational too. And, those things kind of go hand in hand, with that kind of feeling, I feel like.
Yeah. So I'm going to take this like a step in a different direction. My sister literally once, accidentally, and she turned me on to a band that ended up being one of my favorite bands of all time, Blink-182. She had,
nice.
I know, she had the Dude Ranch album before me, and I went over to my mom's house one day, and she was playing that, and I was like, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh." And then like I stole it from her. She's my younger sister. I stole it from her, and I never looked back. Blink-182 like steadily climbed up my ladder over the years, and it's just
Dude Ranch is so good.
It is, and
it's so good.
I think like today's generation gets lost in in Untitled and Neighborhoods and stuff, and where they're at now. And 9 was a great record, but that's a different discussion. But Dude Ranch somehow gets overlooked. It's beyond me, but anyway.
That's still my favorite Blink record. I'd say I kind of fell out a little bit after their self-titled album in 2003, but yeah, I mean, everything before then, I think Dude Ranch was.
We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about other things on After the Fact, which you can get on Patreon, patreon.com/ohhijustin. Greatly appreciate you going there and becoming a patron. $1 a month is all it takes. And you can listen to our discussion on Kendrick Lamar on all the podcast platforms this Thursday. I guess I should probably give a date, but I don't have one. But Deprogram comes out on Thursdays. Oh, maybe I should make a thing that just goes here. And we'll talk to you soon.